If you're looking to finally get to the end of the road, the end of your journey, I urge you to visit my website, jayaudiolab.com. If you're tired of keep burning your cash, if you're exhausted of that, come and see me. Consider my consultation service and let me help you out. Okay, guys, we are here today with the well-known by now OCD Mikey Hi-Fi. Mike,
What's up, guys?
It's awesome having you again here on my channel. A lot of
You bet,
people love
brother.
to see you here doing a collaboration with me. And I reached out to you today because I thought it would be important for us to connect on this entire conversation that's going on with Mofi. And of course, the last video that you uploaded, check out his channel, guys, if you want to see what he had to say about essentially magazine reviews. And of course, their relationships with those manufacturers who send in product for review. By the way, that video was well executed. I liked it a lot. I was the one who sent you that link actually for you to read. So,
yeah, thanks.
And I think you found it interesting enough to make a video about it.
Yeah, for sure. I thought it was pretty amazing that he was saying the things that he said. You know, it was pretty wild.
Well, let's just, you know what? Let's just get started with that. Since it's still fresh in my mind and I just watched the video, we can elaborate a little more about this article that Absolute Sound, who now has a YouTube channel. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Basically, they talked about, how things are happening behind closed doors as far as relationships and how they are not essentially in any way, shape, or form having some sort of a relationship that leads to dishonest reviews, essentially, right? That's what it boils down to. And obviously there was more than that. And I love what you had to say, and you brought up a lot of interesting points because the magazine essentially said, no, we don't have that kind of relationship here. If we have a product, we give it a fair review. And even if our current reference product is easily trumped by it, we are not going to say that's the case. We are not going to basically deny that a product is superior to the one that we currently use as our reference product. I thought that was something that, they wanted to make sure that they highlighted on this article.
Right.
But you kind of said that you feel like, why did this come out of nowhere? This article seems to be like, is that the narrative out on the streets? And this is why you feel that they released this? What do you think? What is your take on this?
It's really hard to say, man. I mean, quite honestly, it's like, why would he write something like this? Because it is sort of like damning, in its nature. And if I'm just, it's just to speculate and just think of, well, why would he? I would imagine, who knows? Maybe it's out of fear of losing readership, and he thinks it's necessary to let the readers know that they are actually or to tell readers that they're unbiased, whether the readers believe them or not. But he feels compelled to say something, which I think says a lot. And or it's like it could be one of those things like, to plant a little seed out there, or at least for the record, have something out there so that later on there's something to refer to. Well, I told you, blah, 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 blah. It's like, plausible deniability kind of thing, like a way out of something later, who knows what. But again, it's just, speculation. It could be anything. Who knows? But the more important than why it was done is the fact that it was done, which is pretty wild. I mean, that tells us something. Something's hitting a chord with them, or hitting a nerve with them to go ahead and make a video like that. Or I'm sorry, an editorial like that. And
it could be. Is it maybe the little guys that are not wanting to send product in for a review, and they're seeing maybe less traffic from them as far as opportunities for advertisement? Is it because maybe they're not seeing that many more manufacturers wanting to review product because they feel like, hey, this is all biased anyway. If you don't have a page on the magazine, why are we even going to try to do this?
Yeah, well, I mean, if manufacturers are not hitting them up, and they wanted manufacturers to approach them, that piece did no good for that, because they basically threw the manufacturers under the bus. So it might have also been like a kind of a what shall I say, swinging of one's strength, to kind of like swing your thing and say, we don't need you. We really write the book, and we're the media. And without us, you manufacturers, you can't do anything. So I'm telling you right now, that we don't care what you think. We're going to continue an unbiased thing, and we're going to side. So they're trying to side. It's an interesting position. And it could be just a show of power. Another
Here,
speculation.
here's where I want to go in and basically give my feedback with regards to that, the way I feel about it. I made a very strong statement about the fact that magazines are, obsolete. They're getting very, very obsolete. And very few people have the time to open up a magazine and read it and stop doing what they're doing throughout their day because they want to read an article. The reality is most of us are consuming what we want to watch either through our ears nowadays in the form of a podcast. You could be driving, headed to work, and you're listening to someone talk about whatever it is that you're interested in, right, and getting information on. And so that to me becomes an inconvenience to a certain extent, having to look at an article and having to read something, because the new generations, Mike, the new generations don't read. As a matter of fact, I am following the World Cup, soccer World Cup.
Oh, yeah, we have been too.
And I read somewhere that they're saying that the new generations don't want to sit through a match anymore. They want to just give me the highlights real quick. I got 2 minutes. I want to watch who scored. Let me see the goal.
Yeah.
Let me see that, and I'm done with the game. Right? They don't want to sit through 90 minutes.
No, it's true.
And so that is a reflection of the new generation, the changing of the guards. And so, if a magazine is having a hard time, by the way, it's not really for me. I don't want to make it sound like I'm highlighting this, because I'm sure the TV stations are having the same problem. Nobody wants to sit through commercials anymore. Right. I can't remember the last time I sat in front of the television, Mike, and watched a regular television show with commercials. So, exactly. So it's got nothing to do with the magazine, with print in general. It's just newspapers, everything. It's just everybody is
right. So print media is dying. Yeah. And I think that's been evident. It's drying on the vine. It's old school. There's so many different angles. It cuts trees down, and it's like, we could go on and on about how it doesn't make sense. And I think it's just an evolution, just an ordinary evolution of things. And that's what's happening, but I don't see how doing that article helps at all,
and it doesn't. And I also, if you've noticed, they have a YouTube channel nowadays, and it'll come up, it'll eventually start gaining some traction because they do have the name. We know this. And I'm sure other publications.
They better start getting some better people on there, bro, because they're boring as shit. Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at. So you're going to see magazines, other publications do the same thing, enter the YouTube world. You're going to start to see that. That's the trend.
Of course.
And so the truth is that the problem, actually, I should say, is that those writers that have been doing it for a long time, they're excellent at writing. They're excellent at basically writing up reports of what they heard. But that doesn't translate in front of a camera. That is not the same. You understand what I'm saying? There's a reason why actors in Hollywood, they're great at being in front of the camera and literally reading whatever it is they have to say, but they have the personality behind it to sell whatever it is that they're saying, right? So to make it believable, right? And that's what I've noticed, that, some of these, videos that I have seen, honestly, they're boring. There's no life. There's no character. There's no personality behind it. And remember, when you write, in my opinion, you really don't get a feel for the personality of the writer.
Right. Yeah, true. I mean, you have them live in real time, and it's like, and they have to come up with words off the cuff. It's different skill set than sitting there with a pad and paper, man, and thinking it over and writing out all eloquent stuff.
It is
you know?
not an easy thing to do. And so I feel like it is, transitioning into something. It has to be a lot more fresh. It has to be
Yeah.
entertaining at the same time, because people want to be entertained, right? So
Yeah.
I don't want to feel like I'm reading a history book to pass an exam. I'm not trying
Right.
to consume
From some old ass professor.
I want to feel like I'm having
Yeah.
fun and I'm getting the content that I need about whatever it is that I'm interested in a
Sure.
very fun type of way. And
Yeah.
so, and I've seen this happen throughout the industry. And I have been even told behind closed doors by some manufacturers who sent in product to different publications, and they didn't even get a call back from any dealer. They didn't get any traction at all. Nothing. It was just chirps. Like, it's just
Yeah. And you know
nothing.
what? You know
Nothing.
what? Yeah. And that's, first of all, that's sad. Okay. But it's typical. And it shows their hubris and their attitude that they run the world, in other words. And I remember one of the reasons why I started my YouTube channel was because we would go to these audio shows, right, as exhibitors, and we'd be sitting there, we'd set all up and stuff like that. And then we'd be looking down the hallway and waiting for the reviewers to come walking in, right? And one after doing this for years, man, I was sitting one day with a guy who owned a speaker company, and we were talking, and we're like, who are these jokers, and how come we're stepping all over our own, what, when they walk in the room? We're all, come in and listen down and sit here, and let's get everybody else out of the room, and let's put this little anointed one into the chair. And I'm like, who are these guys anyways? We're acting like they're holy men or something like that. And all they're going to do is give a show report. They're not even going to review anything. They're just going to say, I sat in this room and heard it, and it sounded pretty good. They're going to say a couple words about it. That's not a review. That's a show report, and it means nothing. Okay, they do it for every room that they can go to. And we're sitting here waiting for these people to come in the whole time, dude. It is tedious doing those damn shows, dude. It sucks.
Yeah.
You stand in the room, you listen to the same tunes over and over again. You're on your feet. You can't even sit down and cop a nap or something like that, unless you're Fremer listening to GT audio.
Oh my God. Okay. Oh man, you called it out. Okay, folks.
Okay, wait.
Okay.
That's not derail. We'll come back to that.
All right.
We'll come back to that.
I
But
was
it gets
going to
tiring.
mention it. I was going to mention it. Okay. But
it gets tiring.
It was brought to our attention. Okay. That you said it. I want to make sure that we are clear in here that Michael
I heard it from you.
Literally, Michael Fremer knocked out in a particular room at Capitol Audio Fest. He was out completely, like
he fell asleep.
Fell asleep. And
okay. So, and remember what I said.
He didn't like the room, right? He didn't like the room.
Remember what I said to you?
Yeah.
I said that's probably a good thing, because he was so comfortable in the room that he fell asleep. Because that's how I mean, you and I look at audio different. In your world, that would be a bad thing. In my world, it might be a good thing, because he's so calm and relaxed that he's able to go to sleep. He's not jarred awake, you know, and all that shit.
So
right?
Mikey's take is the fact that Michael Fremer literally fell asleep listening to the GT audio room. If you want to know, I'll say it. He literally fell asleep in the chair when he was supposed to be evaluating that room. He just fell asleep. OCD is saying, Mikey is saying that could be a good thing, because that means he was relaxed. He wasn't even paying. He wasn't analyzing.
It could be. My honest take on it is that he was exhausted. I mean, these damn shows, and everybody got sick there, bro. I don't know if you did. I sure did.
But here's the thing, though, that I can say I can understand that he could have been, tired, under the weather, and all of that. But however, remember, when you're there, right, the narrative can start where they could say that's disrespectful to someone who's there, who drove 2 days or whatever it is and spent all this money to set up a room, and you are a reviewer, and your job is supposed to review and pay attention.
Yeah.
Right? You should know deep down that, yes, I'm tired, I'm under the weather. Maybe I should just go back to my room. He probably had a room in the hotel. Lay down for a little bit, get some rest, take some medication, and get back down to the show. My issue is
medication.
Yeah, my issue is that, and again, he could have been sick. We're not saying that.
Of course.
He
Yeah,
wrong
yeah.
or right. We don't really know why he fell asleep.
It was funny. The bottom line was it's funny.
But the narrative
somebody should have gotten a picture of that. That would have been great.
But the thing is that he also, and not just him, anybody who is a widely known reviewer they basically are exposed and putting themselves in harm's way for some sort of a narrative to start. So if I had that credential and if I was that reviewer and I knew, hey, I'm exhausted, I didn't get a good night's sleep, I went until 1:00 in the morning, right? I would have known if I fall asleep on this chair, it's not going to look good for me.
Right. Yeah.
It's not good. I know the guys that are out there talking. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe he doesn't. Right? Maybe he doesn't give a shit.
But he doesn't. But I'm saying it's just then the narrative starts. You fall asleep. You're supposed to be reviewing, and people are going to be that.
But he's not supposed to be reviewing, I don't think, right? He's just supposed to be doing show mentions.
Something like that. But the bottom line is,
I got you.
The bottom line is, if I'm in that room and I have worked tirelessly, man, I'll be pretty pissed off. When there's a reviewer there that's supposed to be doing a job, whatever that may be, and he doesn't even give me I get overlooked.
I'm with you.
I get overlooked.
It's kind of embarrassing. It's kind of embarrassing, but I because I've exhibited and because I've run around and I have a little bit of understanding for Fremer because I've been there, man. I've been in the rooms where I'm the guy running the room and I'm falling asleep because it's been just it's so boring, and you're like, you have to keep slamming coffee all day long and eating these little freaking candy bars and shit, But let's bring it back to the main point, which we were talking about. When you run these rooms, and you're sitting there waiting for these guys to come in. One time, we sat there and we asked ourselves, who are these guys and what's their background? We started to dig into it, and we researched, and we found pictures of these guys' rooms and the rigs that these reviewers were using, and in some of them, these super small rooms in New York City, and we're just like, are you kidding me? Like, our rigs are better than these guys. The speaker guy and I looked at each other and we said, you know what? In many of these cases, we are more qualified to talk about speakers and things like that. At least he was at the time. And we're like, man, we should do our own thing. There's no reason these guys are journalists. They're really good writers. Okay, I'll give them that. They can write beautifully and they can wax poetic about this kind of stuff. But really, like you said, that's not cool. That's not what people look. I find myself, when I read anything, even when I read stuff online, if it's a journalist, I like motorcycles. If I read about motorcycles and they're doing this waxing poetic about it, I'm like, get to the freaking point. I don't care about all this fluff words and making it all fancy prose and shit. It's like, just give me the damn information. That's what I want. I don't care about all this embellishment, and so
I see what you're saying. I see what people don't have the time anymore. People don't have the time.
You don't have the time. It's like get to the point. So that brings it around to why I started a channel, why other people, probably yourself included, started channels, because we just wanted to give information straight and to the point. We don't need to fluff it with a bunch of prose and embellishment, and so nonetheless, who are these guys that are coming in, and what's their relationship with the manufacturers? What's their relationship with the dealers, if there's any dealer connection there? So it's like, media is very influential. And I think in this case, at least in the case of this article, it seems like they're pretty high on their own hog about how important they are. And I'm like, man, that's not a real good position when print ads are dying on the vine and your videos suck. I mean, I don't know.
But it's kind of like the transition that every industry is having to go through. It's not just specifically with audio reviewers in the magazine. It's just that I think that the audio industry, and I'm going to look at the camera and say it bluntly, they need to effing change the way they're doing things, man. It's time. We got to turn the page, okay?
They don't need to do shit, man. We can change the way things are being done. We don't need them to do it.
It's like
we're blazing our own trail.
And you want me to tell you who is really making them change? We are people like us.
Well, yeah,
because they're starting to see that a lot of people are tuning in. Not just our channels, but other channels that are similar. And they're seeing that, hey, they're stealing our eyes, essentially, that are supposed to be reading our magazines, and they're going in this direction. We need to go there and start, to create our own, noise to get these eyes back on
Well,
us.
of course.
And so that is, to me, one of the things that I think they're starting to see. Will they succeed? There's no telling, right? Who knows?